Welcome to MasterMind Minutes, the podcast that focuses on the franchise industry. We'll cover topics that are important to franchisees as well as franchisors and share interesting insights that will help you build your business. We have one guest, we ask one question, and we do this in minutes, not hours. Hello again, and welcome to another edition of MasterMind Minutes. My name is Gary Occhigrosso. I'm the managing partner for Franchise Growth Solutions, and as you know, the publisher of FranchiseMoneymaker.com. MasterMind Minutes, very simple concept. You hear me talk about it every week. We have one guest. We ask one question. We get one expert answer, and we do it in minutes, not hours, so that you can get back to your busy, busy day. So today, my guest, who was originally my very first guest on the program, and now will be appearing for the third time. That's a record here at MasterMind Minutes. Is Doug Smith, and Doug is the Chief Operating Officer of America's Best Restaurants and Driver, which is a digital marketing agency that works with restaurants nationwide. You've probably seen these guys running all over the United States on LinkedIn, if you follow them, and you should. America's Best Restaurants generates trackable ROI for restaurants, which is key because you can be spending marketing dollars and advertising dollars, and you're not really sure whether you're getting an ROI. So you have to watch out for that, and that's what Doug and his company does. Doug is a 27-year veteran of the radio business in both sales and marketing. So Doug, again, thank you for being with us again today. This is your third time. You hold the world record here on MasterMind Minutes.
I feel like I should have a trophy behind me near my helmets.
I will. I'll send you a little clock, or maybe a little an hourglass, but only for a minute, like a minute hourglass. We'll see.
I love it. I love it. I will display it right back there, brother.
Good. So before we get started on the question, because we've got a great topic today, and I just came back from a franchise conference in Philly called Springboard, which I, recommend and urge every franchisor, especially emerging brand franchisors, to attend. But I'm not going to do a pitch for them. They know I love them. But there were some topics there that we're going to talk about. But before we do that, just tell the audience who's not familiar with you or with ABR, with America's Best Restaurants, and now Driver, that's something new to me. Sort of walk us through that, and then we'll get to our question.
Great. Well, we are actually two separate companies. America's Best Restaurants is a road show that for the past 3.5 years, we have traveled the country helping independent restaurants tell their story. And it really was birthed out of COVID, if you will. It was something our CEO, Matt, had thought of back in 2018. But when COVID hit, we saw a big disparity between the haves and the have-nots regarding who was having success, who wasn't. And those that were having success, they had told their story. The community felt committed that they needed to help support them. And the ones who were struggling, they didn't really have that story. So the roadshow was birthed out of that to be able to say, how can we help these restaurants tell their story? And one of our sayings is that for independent restaurants and smaller restaurants, you'll never outspend the big guys, but you can outsmart them. And outsmarting them is telling your story. That's the biggest point of differentiation. So for the past 3.5 years, we have filmed over 1,500 episodes helping restaurants tell their story. The other side of our company is an idea that Matt, our CEO, created back in 2015, almost by accident, but it was all about customer acquisition and building databases for restaurants and then being able to track, did those people bring themselves into the restaurant? And you can have trackable sales. One of the biggest issues we had for a number of years is we could track it and we would know that these people would come in, but we would always hit a wall where what's the lifetime customer value? If we did our digital marketing in a concept Matt created and we brought Gary into the restaurant and Gary visited 3 or 4 times, Gary's going to fall off our radar and we're basically expecting that he's coming back, but we don't know. So last November, we had an opportunity and we purchased a company called Repeat Returns, which has been around for about 15 years. And it was framed as a loyalty platform, but it's not really loyalty. It's more of a customer management platform that has a loyalty aspect. So what we're doing now, and we're completing the whole transition, is taking the customer acquisition concept that Matt created, marrying it with this client and customer platform to manage this database, and we're putting the two together. And we changed the name into Driver. It's Driver with a Y because we want to drive your sales. But we also have a whole list of you, like there's things you as the restaurant owner have to do in order to make it successful. So we often get asked with our shirts and our merchandise that says driver, why's the why? Well, because you have to actually do some work. There's no such thing as magic dust that you write a check and all these miracle things happen. You have to do the work. And you know that because someone opens up a franchise or they do something, it's just not magic. You got to put the work in. And the same thing happens on the marketing side. So hence the name Driver with a Y.
Great, great. Well, that sort of sets up the question. But before we get there, I just want to let everyone know, because some people do actually watch this on LinkedIn or YouTube. So I have sort of a backdrop here of my beloved New York City back there. And Doug and I were talking before the program. Well, I think this photograph was, well, you're looking south, and I think it was taken somewhere on Fifth Avenue in about the mid-50s, just judging where the Empire State Building is. Anyway, I don't have my normal background, so I kind of like this. I also like how my hands get invisible on this stuff. So enough of that. Okay, so the question, because I think you mentioned about repeat visits. So obviously in the restaurant business and in the franchise restaurant business also, a lot of QSRs and fast casual businesses really run on frequency of visit. You don't go to a fast casual business and spend $5,000 or even $500 or $100 typically. You're going in there, you're spending probably 15, 20 bucks. So in order for the restaurant to survive, you need to come back multiple times over the course of the year. It's what we call frequency of visit, creating occasions to use and that sort of thing. And we teach our clients how to do that. But what I gathered from what you just said is that this platform Driver actually helps you track that so that you know when guests are coming in, or you can motivate them to come in. So, and I may be wrong about that. You can straighten me out once I give you the question. But more and more what we see, and I mentioned that I was at Springboard earlier last week, more and more what we see is the integration of technology, real technology, into the restaurant space. So for many years, there was great technology upgrades in the back of the house with certain ovens and pieces of equipment, computerized stuff. But now we're seeing a lot of upgrade in technology in the front of the house. And I think this probably started with cloud-based POS systems, but loyalty programs, data management. I mentioned Restaurant 365 before we went on the air. Talk to us about the importance of restaurants moving into technology in those areas, whether it's database, customer management, and maybe it's a three-pronged approach. It's having the technology, using the technology, and then using it the right way. So maybe we want to start out with just the sheer importance of having technology in the restaurant.
Yeah, it is not something that is negotiable anymore. You have to have it. And the technical term is your tech stack. What's the technology that you have put on top of each other? And we see oftentimes that restaurant owners, they're looking for the next easiest thing or the next best thing. And so they've got so many different avenues going, if you will, and they're not even maximizing what they're already paying for. They have a point of sale system. Are you maximizing that? Is there a loyalty concept? Are you utilizing every tool inside of that? And too many of them are not. And so you're missing out on what technology is supposed to do and make your life easier. Well, it's only easier if you actually use it. And so number one is whatever technology you're using, whether it's your point of sale system, if you do have a loyalty program or you have an app or you do whatever, are you truly maximizing it? And is it something that can integrate in with the other stuff that you're already doing? So why continue to write checks for something that you're only using 20% of or 30% of? It's understanding what you're currently paying for and using it. There's an analogy we use. We're about 20 minutes from the Ohio River in downtown Cincinnati, where I'm sitting right now. And we use the analogy that there's 5 different bridges that cross from Kentucky into Ohio. Well, if each one of those bridges was only half built, and you drive across that bridge, you're going to fall into the Ohio River. You're never going to make it to the other side. So from a tech standpoint, focus on just that one bridge. What do you have? Maximize it. Make sure that bridge gets to the other side. Then once you know it's working, then you start looking at what's something else out there. What's something else? How can I make it better? How can I stack on top of my technology to essentially make my life easier? As you mentioned, back of house stuff. Okay, that's become a lot more efficient where the ticket comes straight in, they rip it, and bam, they can go. And they took out a couple steps of taking the ticket, handing the ticket, and they took a potential issue out where someone dropped the ticket or forgot it, and all of a sudden the food wasn't made. Well, that was something to simplify the back of house with technology. Well, the same thing can happen overall with the restaurants. That's what technology is built to do, but it only works if you use it. It's like a term you and I have said so many times: garbage in, garbage out. It's only as good as what you use it for. What are you putting into it, and what are you taking out? So that's first and foremost, whether it's us or any other marketing company out there. You got to look at it and ask yourself, am I truly utilizing what I have to its fullest potential? And if you are, great, then look at what you can add. If not, focus on just that. Don't get so sidetracked with all these other things.
Yep. Yeah, and I agree 100%. I mean, we see that all the time. We see clients who have the technology in-house. They don't use it to the fullest extent. I mean, we see that a lot with POS systems. So we are resellers and recommenders, if you will, or referrers for Toast. We happen to love Toast. Yeah, we like Clover too, and we like some of the others, but we love Toast. But many of our clients don't utilize the system to its fullest extent. So, it's, they're leaving money on the table. I guess, what I would like to do in terms of rolling it back, because you said a lot there and there's a lot to this. If I was a restaurateur and I was just getting started and I just installed my new Toast POS system, what should I be looking at as the next thing if I wanted to sort of onboard my use of technology slowly, just because that's who I am? What would be the next piece, and should that be something that I should look for within the POS? Is it another provider that integrates with the POS? What would be let's say the next 2 or 3 things that I should use or buy or get to build my tech stack, as you mentioned?
The foundational needs to be, how are you able to collect customer data? That is gold. That is, again, a non-negotiable. Your point of sale system, if you cannot have a way to capture customer data inside of your point of sale system, then you need another point of sale system. Everyone's got a point of sale. Number one, customer data is gold. That's it. That's point 1, 2, and 3. Because if I'm spending the time, energy, and effort, whether they're working with us or some other marketing company, or they're putting in sweat equity and they're doing different grassroots marketing or whatever else, we hear all kinds of versions. And they do enough to market to you, Gary, and Gary walks in and the food's good, the atmosphere is good, the service is good, and everything's fantastic. There's an acquisition cost to get you to walk through that threshold of that front door. The marketing side's done. Well, then if they do not capture your data and you leave, they're hoping and praying you come back. Because the second you walk out that door, you're checking your phone, you got email, you've got family problems, you got kid problems, you got job problems, you got everything else. You are not going to stay top of mind. Now, there's marketing that can help someone stay top of mind, and you can reinforce a positive experience or help to dispel a negative experience. But if they have your customer data and they have a plan in place to strategically stay visible with you, whether it's retargeting ads on social media, whether it's email or it's text or it's something, that is absolute rule number 1, because you came in and you left. So you can hope and pray you come back, or you can aim and expect you to come back. So once you've got that in place and we're able to capture customer data, which is typically first name, last name, phone number, email, and birth date. It's the basic core. Well, now I can try to stay visible with you in a strategic way and market. Then you can add on top of that to say, what is the capability of my point of sale? What can we do? Okay, is there something else? I've got a database of 10,000 people who have walked in and ordered and enjoyed my food. Is there something else outside of what I have that will stack on top of it that can help me utilize this data? And it's shocking how many restaurants have Toast or Arrow point of sale, all these different places. They have a database and they're doing nothing with it.
Right.
That becomes paramount, that you strategically have a plan in place in how to effectively market to the people who are already enjoying your food. Because the one thing that I love to say, every loyal customer, your absolute best customer that you know comes in every Tuesday at 10 o'clock for your brunch, at some point they were a brand new customer. So what did you do to nurture them, to get them to become that loyal customer? Data and the ability to effectively use it allows you to expand on that and 5x that opportunity to take those new customers down that trail to get them to become loyal. As you know, and I know, loyal customers is where the gold is at. You don't pay the bills by infrequent customers. The frequent customers pay the bill.
Right, makes sense. So, all right. So again, let me just sort of recap here. So, I'm a restaurateur. I just put in my new POS. Now I want to start collecting that data, and then I want to use that data to sort of remarket to my existing customers. So, in real world, and then I'll ask you about some other tech pieces. But in real world, would that be something like, can I track, or can you, if you're the restaurateur and I'm the guest, can you track what I order, and maybe I have a favorite item that I order, or I order within a certain category of items on the menu, and then you can, I don't know how you do it. You send a text message, you send an email, you can tell us about that in a minute, saying, hey, Gary, your favorite item, the XYZ chicken quesadilla, for example, is on special this week, blah, blah, blah. Is that sort of the message that I would get? And how would I get that message delivered to me?
Yeah, various pieces of tech. A lot of these point of sale systems will allow you to do that. Like Driver, for example, our end, because we integrate in with point of sale systems, what we're tracking mostly in our software is the overall ticket amount. So we would know that Gary typically comes in on Tuesday again at 10 and your average ticket is $15. Well, we're tracking each of those different visits if you're in the overall platform. But we can also incentivize you to come in, and the next time you visit, maybe instead of 15, you spend 22. And we incentivize you to buy something or try something that you normally don't. Well, we've got a history that we can look back through the data and know that if we can get you to come in and try something new, and we're able to bump your ticket from 15 to 22, we just added $7. Your overhead and your hard costs are the same. That one visit just added $7 basically to the bottom line. Now, inside a lot of these point of sale systems, yeah, you can track if it's the double barbecue bacon burger that I typically love to get. And if you understand that, then more strategically marketing to me based on what I like, you have a higher opportunity to gain my attention. If I've never ordered a chicken sandwich and maybe I hate chicken, and you're trying to pump messages in front of me to come try the chicken, you're going to irritate me, and there's a good chance I'm going to opt out. But there's also opportunities using this data with the social media platforms. There's so much data available that you can feed back into Facebook, for example, and target people based on what they typically order, and creating custom ads that if you like the chicken and I like the double bacon burger, well, the ads I see have a picture of the double bacon burger, and the ads you see have the chicken. And so there's different ways to do it. And that's really going down the avenue, as I was mentioning earlier, that bridge analogy. If somebody isn't really even effectively collecting data, and we start trying to talk about segmenting their audience and creating custom ads and like audiences and really getting into the nitty gritty, that's oftentimes trying to teach calculus to somebody who doesn't even know multiplication. So there are stages with it. But a lot of it just comes down to talking with people like yourself. You understand the industry, and you want to be able to educate people that there's stair steps on how to build upon what you're doing. And from us as a marketer standpoint, it's the same thing. It's start with the basics. Let's focus on one lane, because there's a lot out there. And unfortunately, a lot of restaurateurs that we come across, more specifically the independents, because they don't have a franchisor that gives them the book and says, here's how you do it. They're looking for that next easiest thing. And they've got 10 different avenues going, and they're so distracted that they lose focus, they become frustrated, and they essentially say, screw it.
So,
And so it just comes down to understanding the basics, the simple basics of using what you're paying for, collecting customer data, don't spam them, very strategically build a relationship with those people. And then over time, you can get more granular and more strategic with how you do it. You
yeah.
don't just jump in with both feet.
So, okay, so now help me, and I'm playing dumb here because
Sure.
you know a lot how this works, but I want to phrase the question because if I'm a restaurateur, especially an independent franchisor, a restaurateur, and you're right, I mean, in a franchise organization, when this technology exists, there's typically someone that is showing the franchisee how to use it and then monitoring their use of it and
Mhm.
their return on it. But let's say I'm an independent restaurant guy, all new to me. What you just described sounds like not only like a ton of work, but like stuff I don't know. So let's talk about remarketing. So my POS system captures the data. I have that. I want to put a special up or something like that. Is it something that's automatic? Is it something that like I can set it up in a way that if I don't see you in 3 weeks or something, you automatically get a text message or an email? Or do I have to physically go in and go, oh, Gary hasn't been in the restaurant in 14 days and he likes chicken? And how does it become, I'm going to use the word frictionless, an overused
Mhm.
word, but I'm going to use it. How does it become a frictionless system where the restaurateur is not being now bogged down by using the technology? Because I have to suspect that's a big reason why people don't use anything that they buy. It's too cumbersome. Talk to me
Yeah.
about the simplicity and the automation of this.
Yeah, really any of the tech stack, whether it's the POS or I'll just use for an example, our platform driver. There are what we call smart systems built in that will automatically fire off nurturing messages. So for example, if we know again that you come in every Tuesday for your brunch and you have consistently been in, say, every other week. Well, the way our system works, if you miss a week and we know that you haven't been in, we'll fire off an email or text and go, hey, Gary, we missed you, and just be able to help spark that. Maybe you're on vacation. Maybe you had a family issue. Maybe you had to travel, whatever it is. But understanding that pattern and being able to automatically reach out and nurture or ping you or stay visible with you, that's all integrated in with the system. And whether you're using the so-called big boys, the Punch or the Paytronics of the world, those type of things are built in where you can send out those push notifications to where it becomes automatic. And like the conversations that we have, it sounds really, really confusing. But the more that, again, if you're using what you have, what you're already stroking a check for every month, if you are talking to the people who are providing you that service and you are maximizing everything that they can give you, but the biggest part of that should be automation. Because as a restaurant owner, you know how to run a restaurant. The majority of them, and I won't say everyone, but the majority of them are not marketers. They don't get it. They're scared to death of social media. They don't want to touch it. They just want to run their restaurant. And if you can put it on autopilot for them, because all they care about is truly one thing. We can talk about a million things. All they care about is one thing. Am I making money? Am I driving sales? That's it. So if you don't want to get super complicated, let the people that you're paying help guide you. That's part of what they should be doing. They should be providing that service to you to ultimately do one thing: drive sales. That's it. And there's so many ways to do it, but start with the basics, start with the foundation. Technology is non-negotiable. If you're talking to somebody or somebody's watching this, they're going, oh, I hate technology. I hate my smartphone. I hate this. Then sell your restaurant and get out of it.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
sell your business, because that's the way of the world now.
Yeah,
Maximize it, use it, build a database, and build relationships with people.
yeah, no, I'm chuckling because it's very often, although I would never say it out loud to someone, but I'm thinking in my head, okay, this person is still thinking that cars will never replace the horse and buggy and the world is flat. And
Yep.
that sort of, and these smartphone things will never catch on. I talk to people like that, unfortunately, more often than I'd like to think, but they're out
Yep.
there. So, okay, so just in the interest of time here, talk to me about, um, like you visit scores of restaurants, as you've said.
Mhm.
Maybe you want to tell one or two quick stories about, like, who have you run into? Because we've talked about the negative stuff. Who have you
Yeah.
seen or run into as a restaurateur that's using this in the best possible way, best practices, and they're really maximizing it? Is there something that you could say, hey, this restaurant XYZ, they do this and it kicks butt?
Yeah, I'll drop one. Little Italy in Groveport outside of Columbus, Ohio. Avery
Okay.
Ward is the owner, and we connected with Avery about 2 years ago. He took over a family restaurant that had been around about 80 some years,
Wow.
and he grew it. He grew it from about a $600,000 a year restaurant to where now he's over 4 million. And the
Wow.
biggest part of it was understanding technology, using technology, but he understands the power of inside your four walls, proper table touches, proper training of your staff, having your staff understand the art of upselling and getting people's data and getting them into your program and maximizing his tech stack. He grew from where he had never done Facebook Lives or any of this little stuff to where now he has a full-time social media person that he hired who follows him around, and he's creating content like crazy. The majority of his content on his social media page, if you go to it, Little Italy in Groveport, Ohio, the majority of his content has nothing to do with his food. He's telling stories, he's doing this, and people now know him. Well, then you can slide some food in there and you can go, check out these pizzas, check out this new pasta. It has completely changed it. And Avery is like our golden child, per se, regarding from where he was to where he is now. And he's used the different variations of our program, shameless plug, but he is somebody who just gets it. And I'll drop you one other one, which is so encouraging. I was actually in Iowa last week with our road crew. Matt and I and some of our team are getting out on the road so that we can get back into the weeds and figure out how can we make this better. There was a restaurant owner. His name was Tom. The place is called Odie's Bar and Grill. If you go on Facebook, they're in Ely, Iowa. Gary, I'd never heard of Ely, Iowa before. This is my first time in Iowa. I have no idea where I'm at. I'm in the middle of a cornfield somewhere. And this guy had recently purchased Toast. That was his new point of sale. He's within 30 days. I asked him, are you utilizing their marketing aspect? He goes, no, not yet. And I was on his Facebook page. And I said, are you open to just one small piece of advice on how to better utilize what you're doing on social media? He goes, absolutely. I said, Tom, you're doing everything every other business in restaurants doing, especially restaurants. You're posting pictures of your food like your lunch special. And you're saying, here's today's lunch special. I said, do me a favor. I want you to take your next lunch special, post what you normally do, and then second, grab your phone, because everybody lives on these things here. Grab your phone and do a Facebook Live. Have your chef holding what the lunch special is, and you simply describe what it is, but now it becomes a live video, and watch what happens. His little post that he normally did had 9 engagements, and he has like 2,600 followers on his Facebook page. His video within 24 hours had 3,500 views, over 100 engagements, and all these comments and shares. And I texted him and I said, dude, keep doing what you're doing. And his words, I'll clean it up, was, holy crap, it works. That's an owner that if they're willing to take advice and they're willing to take extra steps, it can make significant difference. And the beauty of that is, Gary, it cost him nothing to do.
Yeah,
it was a 15-second live video. But so many times, and I mean this with all the kindness in my heart, I want to bang my head against the wall sometimes because we will give people advice and they just completely ignore it. But when they take the simple steps of just utilizing, again, you got a Facebook page, use it. You're not using it properly. So that's what I see is so many, whether it's because they don't know and they're scared, they don't utilize what's already at their fingertips. And the ones who do quickly get way ahead of everybody else.
Yep. Yep. No, I couldn't agree with you more. I think when you talk about people telling their story helps the customer, the guest, get engaged and get
Yeah.
connected and it's not just sell, sell, sell. I mean, it ultimately leads to that, but it's really about having the guest engage and become part of the brand, part of the business. So I'm gonna, that was just so great to hear two great stories like that. We'll take that as the last word, but what I would like to know is if anyone out there listening or watching wants to reach you or reach America's Best Restaurants or Driver, how do they do that? How do they get in touch with you?
I'm all over LinkedIn. That's the number one way. So find me, send a request. The only thing I can ask is if anybody wants to connect with me, I love connecting with people. Personalize the message. That's one of my little hotspots too with LinkedIn is at least make a little personal connection. Say that you saw this and then don't spam me afterward. I mean, that's just one of my little pet peeves. LinkedIn is good. My email is Doug at americasbestrestaurants.com. And my cell number is 513-535-9123. Anybody can text me, call me at any time. We are an open book and happy to talk and give advice until we're blue in the face.
Yeah, and for those of you who might have missed all of that, we post that in the bio of the webcast, and of course, this is on a whole variety of things, Spotify and all that other good stuff. But Doug, thank you. You now hold the world record for being on Mastermind Minutes 3 times.
Yeah.
I appreciate the insights and you explaining the importance of really using tech or having a tech stack in a restaurant business. Again, it's America's Best Restaurants and Driver. And Doug is the COO. Reach out to him if you want to learn more about this. He told two great success stories. Again, thank you so much for being with us today.
Anytime, brother. I love talking with you.
Thank you.